I've always been interested in law and read a lot of crime novels and watched legal dramas.
Originally I thought, I'm not smart enough to study law.
It's fusty, it's old-fashioned, it's fuddy-duddy, it's definitely not for me.
It's not actually true. I think as long as you have the skills to be able to learn and think conceptually and understand grey areas, then I think anyone can study law.
I was a press officer for Oxfam and had been working about 10 years before that. I was a journalist, and I felt that a law degree would help me in a change of direction.
The work that I do in school as a pastoral officer is very rewarding, and I see quite a lot of different types of queries. That coupled with, I guess, a growing interest in law over quite a long period of time meant that I was quite keen to study it, didn't want to give up my job, so the Open University was the obvious route for the law degree.
W360 is a course that focuses on pro bono work and looks at giving something back.
The more we got involved, the more I realised there were skills that I was going to need to learn for the course that I'd never encountered before and wasn't going to encounter on a typical law degree.
There are two practical elements that you can do. One of them is supporting one or more clients with a case, and the second one is more of a educational activity.
I chose to work and take a short placement with the Freedom Law Clinic, which is a conviction review clinic that works with clients who believe that their conviction is unsafe.
I was tasked with, along with my colleagues, with putting together a presentation that school sixth form age students would be receiving. So we discussed amongst us, and we thought that the topic of consent was probably the best one that we could choose.
The case was quite a complex one on a matter of contract, and it was a really good way to practice skills that you will need in real life. How you're going to talk with the client, what sort of questions you're going to ask, what information you need, how you're going to present yourself. Really interesting and obviously so very real.
We were given a case for the case of an individual who's serving a lengthy sentence for a serious offence. We were given a bundle of pages and documents, probably about 1,000 pages to read. And as part of the group, we were then expected to work together and help find arguments to support the individual's case as it goes through the Criminal Cases Review Commission.
I was standing in front of 2 sessions of 100 each students, talking about sex and consent, and that was nerve-wracking.
It gave me the space to think about many things that were important to me. What's professional, how you present yourself professionally, but equally how you try to form a relationship quickly with a client, because you've got to get on with them and get information that they may feel uncomfortable about telling you. You've got to build those relationships.
It was an amazing experience to have a real live client. It was my first client, and I'm sure that all lawyers remember their very first client. It was real honour and privilege, really. And we all wanted to help in some way, and it was a huge amount of pressure, and reading that number of pages, feeling really as if we actually understood the nuts and bolts of the case. It was really important to apply all the legal skills that I'd been learning for several years, and actually to apply them to a real life case was very exciting.
The biggest moment for me was when a young girl came up to me and said, "Look, I haven't told anyone this, but I was sexually assaulted while I was under the influence of alcohol. Because I was drinking, I thought it was my own fault, so I haven't told anyone. But your talk has made me realise that I couldn't have given consent anyway, so what do I do?" And so being able to tell her that she needs to speak to her mum or her priest or her doctor or anyone she trusts, that was quite a big moment. I felt like it actually made a difference.
At the end of the placement, we returned to academic studies. We had various different assignments to complete, which we did. But I wasn't quite ready to give up work with the Freedom Law Clinic, and I and another colleague in my team decided to apply to be caseworkers and to be taken on by the FLC as on a voluntary basis. And so now I've been working about 5 to 6 months with the organisation.
We are hoping to start a young people's legal project which I'll be very heavily involved in because it picks up so many of my interests. So I will be using many of the skills that I've done on W360 in what I want to do in the future.
I'd really recommend taking the pro bono course. I think it will open up opportunities that you really just can't ever have imagined. You know, this time last year it wouldn't have occurred to me that I would take part in something as meaningful as that, really, as part of my academic course.
I would say to anyone wanting to do the W360 unit or unsure about if they wanted to do it, that they should definitely give it a go. For me, it was one of the most interesting units that I've done over my university career. How to interview people, how to approach a case, how to draft correspondence, and just things that you wouldn't know unless you got a training contract otherwise.
I got so much out of the experience and felt really inspired by it, and so I've now decided that I'd like to pursue a career in criminal defence.
I hope to study ideally as a barrister. I would like to do criminal prosecution.
The work with the Open Justice Clinic would be an absolute highlight of my time of studying with the Open University on the law degree. It's what I would like to do in terms of actually advising people on legal issues. So to be able to practice that, brilliant.